And checking our top stories, we're keeping close tabs on the Michigan Capitol this morning. The legislature there is about to pass a historic bill that could drastically curb the political power of organized labor. Hundreds of pro-union protesters and supporters have turned out to voice their disapproval. In New York, Naeem Davis, who is charged with the murder of a man he allegedly pushed onto the subway tracks, is expected back in court this hour. The man on the track died after being hit by a subway train. The federal judge says North Carolina's Choose Life license plates are unconstitutional because the state does not offer plates with a different viewpoint. A lawmaker who sponsored a bill for the new plates reportedly plans to push for an appeal of the judge's ruling. We are exactly 3 weeks away from automatic tax hikes and spending cuts if these two men and their parties cannot come to an agreement on the fiscal cliff. President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner met privately Sunday in a surprise meeting, but they're not commenting much in public on whether there's been much progress. Joining me now is Hiram College political science professor and political chief correspondent for Politic 365, Jason Johnson, and Republican strategist Ron Bonjean. Some say that the fact that we're not hearing much out of Washington is a good sign, and in this case, silence is golden. You guys agree?
Yeah, I definitely do. Look, one of the things that we've got to realize here is that the more that this fight takes place in public, the less is being done behind closed doors because everyone feels that they have to justify the public rhetoric. So I think that we have two silences going on. There's Barack Obama and John Boehner working things out, and the Republicans realizing that now that they're the party, they've got to find a way to negotiate. So silence is golden for Christmas season.
You agree, Ron Bonjean?
Yes, I completely agree. I think that silence is best, and right now, while they're figuring out how to put a deal together, I think the president softening his rhetoric in Michigan on the issue yesterday was extremely helpful. What we still are far apart is, as far as we know, on entitlement reform, spending cuts, raising the rates. We've been talking so much about raising taxes that we're not talking a lot about entitlement reform and a lot about spending cuts, and I know that's what it's going to take. There's going to have to be some significant movement on the Democratic side for that to occur. So we're hopeful that we can see some white smoke out of the White House and the Capitol this week. If we don't get something by early next week, it's going to be hard to see how they can whip their members into shape and get this done before Christmas.
And Jason, don't you think that that is taking place, those discussions that maybe the media isn't harping on because they're, quite frankly, maybe too complicated? It's easier to talk about the tax rate increase. Do you think that those are being discussed in earnest, or is there a lot of work to be done that maybe can't get done before the break and before the end of the year?
I think both sides. Look, at the beginning of the year, I thought to myself, which is going to happen first? Are we going to fix the fiscal cliff, or is the hockey lockout going to end, right? and I think it's pretty clear now that the fiscal cliff is going to get fixed first because I think both sides recognize, look, we have an end-of-the-year deadline. They knew this had to be done at a particular point. So it doesn't really matter what the issues are. I think everyone recognizes that they don't want to end up going over this cliff. So I think there's always been a plan at foot. I think the Republicans really are scaling back what their expectations are. They have to recognize that this is going to get done in a lame duck session. And Barack Obama, surprisingly, has stood his ground. I think liberals can be happy with him for once because he seems to really be taking command of these negotiations.
Ron, the National Review is reporting that if the fiscal cliff talks go sour, that John Boehner might have a challenge for his speaker post. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think Speaker Boehner is extremely strong in his position. He's been very, very smart, including the Republican leadership in his negotiations. While it's just him and President Obama, he has them inside the room before he goes and meets with the president. He talks to them, and they reflect the views of the entire conference. The key here with the entire deal is that the devil is in the details. Once these details come out, it's going to take arm twisting by both sides. It's going to take calls from the president to Democrats. It's going to take the speaker to make sure Republican conference members are falling into line. And that's where we're going to see when the rubber meets the road if this deal can get done. Remember, health care reform by the president passed on December 24th. So we do have a precedent there of just going right up to Christmas. And if it doesn't happen at Christmas time, they'll be coming back before the new year. And I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I think they can get it done.
Jason, who takes the hit politically if this doesn't get done? Both sides, or do you think that the president is susceptible because he's not leading, or will it be the Republicans that take the political hit here if they don't get a deal done?
When you spend all of 2011 and you get branded fairly or unfairly as the party of no, you're going to be the one who's in trouble. So the Republicans, every poll has shown that most Americans will blame the Republican Party if this deal doesn't get done. That's one of the reasons I think that John Boehner's position is fairly safe. I don't think anyone wants to be in charge of the Republican Party right now. A year ago, Eric Cantor was measuring the curtains in Boehner's office. But I think now Boehner knows he's just got to get this done, suffer through. The Republicans will take the hit if this doesn't happen, and they don't need that kind of bad press. It'll just make Obama all the more powerful heading into his re-inauguration.
All right, both of you guys seem glass half fullish on this. Bottom line, Ron, first, deal or no deal?
Well, bottom line is, I don't think the president wants to go over the cliff because he'll be giving an inaugural address with the country in fiscal shambles. And despite the Democrats saying the Republicans will be at fault, the president still is the commander-in-chief, the leader of our country. And if he presides over this, a lot of mud's going to splash up on him, too. I do think we'll be able to get this deal done. But again, the devil's in the details.
Tight on time, Jason, deal or no deal?
We're going to get a deal right at the end of the year. Everyone's happy. Unemployment will keep coming, and we will not hit the fiscal cliff.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your insight. We'll see if there'll be a deal or not. Time is running out. Live pictures as protesters outside the state capitol continue to gather in Lansing, Michigan. Hundreds are there to protest the right-to-work vote. Today, our Poppy Harlow is live inside the state capitol right now. Poppy, what are you seeing around you?